Hey, good evening, everybody. It's your boy Eric Buck. E-Buck is in the building, and welcome once again to Get Off My Lawn Live. Thank you all for joining me. Thank you to all the guys who have been supporting my show and my efforts, and hopefully we can get a good conversation going this evening about the topics. I give things a few seconds, allow a couple people to join in the room so we can start this thing going. I am a couple minutes early. It also gives me time to properly set my devices so this time I can actually see who's commenting on everything that I'm speaking on. So while we do that, allow me to get my reset going and we'll get it cracking, y'all. How's everybody doing this evening? Hopefully everybody's doing good and everybody's staying safe and everybody's doing what they can to keep everything rolling during these difficult times. If you're just not joining me, like I said, I'm setting on my devices so I can see who's talking to who and what's going on with all the conversations before I get this thing jumping. I can get everybody their proper shout outs as I see them pop on. And by all means, if you have any comments about what's going on and what I'm talking about, please feel free to chime on in and give us your 2 cents. We do want this to be an interactive show, so by all means do so. I'm almost set here, y'all. Y'all hear me in the background there? Okay, so yes, now I can see some of the people that's commenting. We got Roderick in the house. What's going on, sir? Thank you for joining. He's joining us all the way from Las Vegas. Hats tip to you, sir. Hugh was in the building. What's up, Hugh? What's going on? I plan on having that brother on the show sometime soon so we can talk some sports. That's his area of expertise. We'll get that cracking. Let's see. We also see Latanya in the room. Hey, Tilly. What's going on? Former neighbor of mine. A shout out to her. Okay, now that we got everything set, let's get the show started. Again, welcome to Get Off My Lawn Live. I'm your host, Eric Buckner, and today we're going to get into a few topics. First, we're going to talk about some of the hot topics going on over the course of the last 24, 48 hours. The main two things we're going to discuss this evening are the latest in the coronavirus situation, and we're also going to talk about the election and what's going on there. And more importantly, now that we're at this point where most of the votes have been counted and we have at least a declared winner in the minds of most of us, at least most of us, I feel, that's viewing this at the moment, what do we need to do next? What can we offer in terms of help, understanding to get this ball rolling and actually make some good use of these next 4 years? So we'll have that discussion this evening. So let's go ahead and get it started here. Let me get my banner going and we will discuss the hot topics of the week. Okay, there's a lot still going on beyond the election and whatnot. For example, today I learned that they started the trial for the latest installment of, okay, let's get rid of Obamacare. In other words, the Supreme Court is now hearing arguments about why we should get rid of the Affordable Care Act or Obamacare as we officially know it. And in those arguments by the Republican Spence is basically saying that we should throw the whole thing out. It's all just not a good deal and what have you. Several of the justices have spoke upon it today during the trial, and it seems like, at least from what we're hearing, that there's a possibility that they may be leaning toward the side of not throwing out the whole act, just certain parts of it, which is good because, of course, there's millions of Americans now presently on Obamacare. Wrong hand. There we go. Me. And if you throw that out, that basically starts us over. And some of us will be able to afford to do so, and some of us not at all. And that's not a good thing. If it wasn't for Obamacare, as I've said to several people, I would not be here having this discussion with you right now. That's how important it is to me. So hopefully they'll work it out. Fortunately, we also found out today that we probably won't get a decision on that till sometime next year, sometime, maybe even as late as June. So that's something they'll be arguing. There's several states that's arguing for. There's several states arguing against. All those arguments have to be heard and presented. So it's going to take a little time for them to figure all that out. In the meanwhile, there is open enrollment going on for the Obamacare at this point. Basically, starting November 1st, it ends December 15th. So if you find yourself without insurance you might want to look into it to see what your insurance options is, because that will become important, particularly when we discuss this next topic, which is the vaccine. We have been getting word that the company known as Pfizer has put out a report, and they say that the vaccine that they have worked on in the trials that they've had is about 90% effective, and they're pretty much ready to start using it. In fact, they are applying for usage in emergencies that might get approved as early as the end of the week. So they may actually start using that particular vaccine in the next several days. Now, it's a 2 application vaccine, and I will go into it more, but I actually want to dig into what's going on with it and learn a little bit more about it before I really discuss that. There will be a show, Get Off My Lawn Live Extra Edition. We're going to have that Thursday, and we're going to use most of that show to discuss the vaccine and all the particulars, what it's about, how it works, some of the side effects, basically how they plan on implementing it. Are we going to take it? What we're not going to do if we're not going to take it? Are they going to force us to take it? We're going to discuss all those particular things about the whole scenario. We'll get into that Thursday, so I won't really do that today. But for the record, yeah, apparently there's a vaccine out, and it should be coming out soon. We'll get to that Thursday. Meanwhile, in other news, of course, there is other small things going on. For example, McDonald's is working on a plant-based scenario. In other words, they're going to basically manufacture a plant-based product within their McDonald's division. So, of course, they're calling that division McPlant. And right now, they're going to start out with plant-based burgers. And based on popularity or the sale thereof, they plan on adding perhaps plant-based chicken, chicken nuggets, plant-based breakfast sandwiches, and what have you. And we'll see how it works. I mean, in the end, plant-based seems to be the wave of the future. So McDonald's being McDonald's, they'll figure out a way to make it work. And more than likely, it'll be a dollar here, dollar there, and they will billionaire their way to even more money. You know how McDonald's works, especially if they can make it make sense for the kids and all that, to where they actually want to make plant burger and whatnot. Because very rarely do you see a kid that rides past McDonald's and don't want to be like, "Ooh, I want some, I want some." So we'll see how they work that out. Okay, let me check some of the comments here. I see a few here in the box. We got Amy in the building. Amy, what's up, friend Amy? Shout out to her. I definitely want to have her on the show one day. She has a lot of good insight into many of the subjects that we discuss, not only here, but on some of the other shows that I will shout out throughout the course of the show. It's part of my Nighthawk Network. If you remember my discussion about that last week, there's basically several podcast shows that I check out throughout the week, as opposed to doing my own as well. And we get into the comments and have discussions, and I've got to know some of the people through there, and some of them will join me this evening. I appreciate it. And you know, as a result, I'm becoming part of a network of people that's skilled and know different things about different stuff. And I'm basically trying to consolidate that and have those people come together and, you know, work towards helping each other. You know, we all in the same gang, so to speak. That's part of what the Nighthawk Network is all about. So as I make discussions about that, and you want to be part of the process, by all means, hit me up, and we'll go from there. You're welcome, Amy. Let's see. Post some of these comments. We got some good ones going on here. Hey, cousin, what's going on? Good to see you. Good to hear from you. Okay. It's 2 injections, but has stored in very low temperature, so it will be a lot, especially getting the refrigerator for it. Yeah, that's part of the issue. But like I said, I really don't want to get into it per se today. We will talk about that Thursday. So if you join us again, Rod, we'll be coming on at 9 on Thursday. Rod is in the medical profession, so he has a good understanding about it. I'm pretty sure your expertise would be helpful in that endeavor, sir. So by all means, join in the conversation if you can. Okay, the plant McRib. Now, you know about that McRib sandwich. To this day, I still can't verify what part of the pig that is, but it's delicious. I admit it. And if they can make the plant McRib delicious, yeah, they got some money coming, no doubt. Okay. Yes, Amy, absolutely. Definitely want to have you on the show. had you addressing some of these comments and whatnot. You have some very good insights as I see you on particularly the Big Meat Show. Shout out to you, Big Meat, Dick and T. Excellent show. We discuss a variety of different topics on there. We have some very good discussions. Several of the people that you probably will see comment here are from that show. Shout out to you guys. All right. Amy also says first vaccines are going to healthcare workers. Yes, we definitely will get into who's getting it first and why they're getting it, all that. Like I said, we'll have that discussion on Thursday. So remember all these good comments. Same for Thursday, y'all. Meanwhile, let me get back into the hot topics here. Okay. Another thing that learned about today. Well, I didn't learn about this today. We already knew about this. This weekend, Alex Trebek, the legendary game show host of one of my favorite games to play on my Nintendo Switch. Can y'all see that? There we go. Get that gleam off of there. This is Jeopardy, a game that I like to watch often as a child and as an adult. Some days did pretty good playing at home. Some days not so much, but you learn things. And games like that always interested me. Me being a professor, nerd, you know, I like to learn things from all different walks of life. And basically that's what Jeopardy is about. Different categories, different subjects about a variety of different topics. And nobody did it better than Alex. And of course, now he's no longer with us. Rest in peace to him. They're at this point discussing who might take his place. There's several different names being thrown out there. If you're familiar with the name Ken Jennings, the guy who won more money on Jeopardy than every other person ever, he's one of the possible replacement hosts. They've talked about Neil deGrasse Tyson. Those of y'all familiar with his work in the astrophysicist in a NASA type scenario. You know, basically any person of learned that is slightly entertaining will probably have their name thrown in that mix, and maybe just some entertaining people in general. Because in the end, Jeopardy is the type of game that can keep going, but it'll be hard to get past Alex not being there. So if you don't have the right host for that, it probably will lead to the show's demise. Hopefully they'll figure it out. But in the meanwhile, Alex Trebek, he taped enough shows till the end of, well, basically till Christmas. So the last few shows that he taped will air the week of Christmas. So definitely we'll be checking that out. And rest in peace, guy. Okay, what else we got going in the hot topics? Do you know today here in Detroit, it got up to 78 degrees? And that was the 5th day in a row that we were over 70 degrees. Needless to say, no November ever in the recorded history of the weather here in Michigan has it been 70 degrees in Detroit for 5 days in a row, basically in the middle of November. It's never happened. Global warming, folks. Global warming exists. This is why this happens. The reason why we've had more hurricanes hit land here than almost any other year ever, also global warming. Gotta get up on that. Anyway, I see some other people have joined the room. Shout out to you, Tasha Maddox. Hello, how are you, dear? The professor herself, Nancy Presnell, one of my favorite high school teachers. She has joined the room. Very graced by your presence. Thank you, Ms. Presnell, for joining us. We got Candace. Hello, family. How you doing? Helena Hologram. H2 is in the building. H2 has a show. The show is entitled, and this is the title, y'all, Hey Bitches. Hey Bitches comes on Monday nights. She is the host, and her show is unapologetically raw and real. She discusses topics that some of them are like the topics I discussed. Some of them, they go there. So as you check out her show, be prepared to have some grown adult conversation, because she don't hold you up. And she says that purposely so. I'm keeping it real with y'all. So I appreciate that. Check her show out. It's Hey Bitches. Okay, also, who else we got in the house? Jamie Grubb, former co-worker of mine. Hey, Jamie, what's going on? We got cousin Shayla in the building. Hey, what's going on, fam? Glad y'all checking me out. Okay, we getting back to the show here now. Like I said, we got global warming going on, and we got all the other stuff. Now it's time to get to some of the serious topics here, folks. And keep in mind, my best friend, shout out to you, best friend, you told me to try to keep these things entertaining as we discuss these things. Granted, there's some serious stuff, so it's kind of hard to do sometimes. But yeah, I try to entertain the people. I try to keep it light and gangster and all that good stuff there. So we'll do it, but some of this stuff we got to get into. Okay, so that being said, time for the COVID update. Now, again, when all is said and done, there will be, for the 6th day in a row, over 100,000 positive cases of COVID-19 throughout the United States. This situation is getting very, very out of hand, y'all. It really is. And there's several reasons for that, obviously. I mean, yes, they've said for months and months, we can severely shut down the spread of COVID-19. Not completely kill it, but shut down the outlandish spread of COVID-19 by doing a couple basic things. Hand washing, hand sanitation, and above all else, of course, the wearing of the mask. Had to pull out the military-style mask this evening in honor of Veterans Day tomorrow. I have several people in our family who are veterans here in these United States. Shout out to you guys. Enjoy your day. Hopefully you get the good discounts, get you some good grub going, and everybody give you your proper respect. Thank you for serving our country and doing what y'all do for us. Appreciate you. Okay, we got some other comments going. Let's check them out right quick. Okay. Amy says there, 78 degrees in November, Detroit, and people still think there's no reason to reduce our environmental impact. Exactly. Exactly. Agreed. Okay, we need to shut it back down. It's definitely not safe out here. Now, I'm about to go there in a minute. We will address that momentarily. This is really sad, and yet 45 doesn't. That's Helena. Yeah, we're going to discuss him too in this process. Got to go there as well. So like I said, yeah, y'all keep the comments coming. I will try to address them as I had a discussion. We will try to keep it moving with that, okay? So again, back to what we're talking about. Okay, here's the thing. Not only is the virus growing in different segments of the population. Hey, what is that? Y'all see that? That little hair right there. I got the fan going. It look like it in blue. The little hair over there. Get off of there. It's distracting. Okay. Let it ride. All right. So anyway, yeah, we got the virus growing all over the country. There's no state right now that has a decline in the virus. They're all increasing. Some cases by monumental amounts. I forgot to check today's coronavirus count. Very unlike me. Usually, not only do I check it, but I usually post it on the Facebook page. Anybody look that up right quick, be my guest. But basically, on average, we've been having 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 positive cases a day here the last couple of weeks. I can tell you that hospitalizations in the last 30 days here in Michigan are up 215%. Bad because, one, that's bad. Two, because remember, not only are we dealing with COVID, but now we are starting to get in the midst of flu season, which is not good. Now, here's what I want you to do. Later on, I want you to look up, especially those of you who think that this is just basically like the flu, ask Google or Siri or Alexa, how many deaths did we have last year from influenza? And compare that amount to what we have now with COVID-19, which is well over 240,000. You will find those totals to be quite different. Way more people have died of the coronavirus in these 8 months than in all of last year from the flu. So then let's just say you add said number to the corona numbers, plus the other 20 to 30,000 potential people that may die between now and the end of the year. We got a serious problem. And yes, people will say that, well, 90% of all the people that have gotten the coronavirus had no major symptoms and no major issues after the fact. I understand that. 10% of anything is an amount. When you take 336 million people, give or take a few million or so, 10% of that is 33 million. If you take all these people, the 10 million plus that have contracted the virus, and over 240,000 of them have become deceased as a result of that, that is not an amount that we should take lightly whatsoever. You don't want to see 240,000 people die of something that more or less could have been avoided for any reason whatsoever, regardless of what it is. It just makes no sense. And even now, in the midst of this pandemic where things are steadily getting worse, we have a politician more concerned about other things than the main thing. And then we have the other politician who is concentrating primarily on the main thing over the other foolishness. We, of course, are going to get into that next. But back to the pandemic. How bad is it? Okay, let's take the effect that it's having on schools. Several school districts in the last week here in Michigan have shut down and went to virtual learning as a result of the spread of the virus. They have gone from basically doing it and having the kids come in or just come in a couple days to just shutting it down, and they all on the computer now. And I'm sure that trend will continue to grow throughout the country in the weeks to come. Michigan, University of Michigan, says in winter semester, they're pretty much shutting down the dorms for the most part. They don't want the dorms operating in the winter semester because in the end, the virus is spreading exponentially. I mean, to the point to where they basically had to shut down campus for the most part at one point this semester, if I recall correctly. And they basically had everybody doing online, and they wanted everybody to stay in place and what have you. It got that bad there. And in other places where college campuses are as well. If y'all familiar with the audio podcast, I'm going to get off my lawn. You know, I've discussed in one particular episode the fact that I didn't feel it was wise to have the schools open at this point, particularly the colleges, because the spread was definitely going to come into play. Basically, young people, they want to have a good time. They in college, they all together, they want to have fun. Of course, they want to party and socialize and whatnot. They can't help themselves. All the years previously, these kids were able to do that. If you're particularly a person who was on campus before all this started, you go back to campus, you was looking forward to getting it on. And not to mention the fact, you look at the numbers and you see that most people your age are not the people that's dying from the virus. However, it's apparent to me now, at least, and again, these are my opinions. The opinions of me, Eric Buckner, and Get Off My Lawn Live are not to be taken as statistical facts beyond a shadow of a doubt. Do your own research, have your own opinion about it, understand all that. With that being said, I personally feel that they should not have opened any of these major college campuses while the virus was still here and present. They should have found a way to have everybody do virtual or not open at all if that was the case. I understand that costs universities millions and millions of dollars. I get that. But those are things we need to work out on the other end. We all knew that they were working on a vaccine, and at some point it would come down, and in the end we would have one sometime within the next 12 to 24 months. In the meanwhile, why risk all these additional lives that did not have to be risked if it wasn't necessary to do so? That's all I'm saying. And in the end, it's sad that you can't, particularly from people who are of college age that are there to learn, have that understanding that young people, we have a virus out here. The best way to combat it, one of these, not hang out so much, not be in everybody's faces for a while. It's just for a while until we figure this thing out. It's other countries, they've opened back up and they more or less still have cases of the virus, but they're minimal and they're able to have things continue to go. They make the adjustments where they can. Right now, we're in a point here in the pandemic where we're going to have to shut some of this stuff down. And I know people don't want to hear that. Definitely people that's already struggling and not making enough at their job and all that. I know that's a tough pill to swallow. And if it's a way to work it all out, trust me, they will do that, because a lot of people don't feel like I do about that. They're saying, no, we didn't got this far. We got to keep going. The sad truth of the matter. Okay, let's see what some of y'all say on this here. All right. We got Lena back in the house. Well, Baltimore will be back to phase 1 Thursday, 5 p.m. I'm not quite sure what phase 1 is for you guys, but I'm assuming that means that they're going to shut down a good part of everything. Okay, Amy says, I don't think that a shutdown is the only answer. We as the public have a responsibility to each other to keep our distance, limit our movements in the community, wear masks, and wash our hands. Absolutely, Amy, absolutely. But like I said, Unfortunately, I feel like we're in the minority in that discussion, Amy. I feel the majority at this point are at the point in the epidemic where, okay, if I'm all right, I'm all right. If I had it, I'm not worried about giving it to nobody else or getting it again. If it's not killing ABC, then I'm gonna work with it. I think a lot of people have come to that conclusion, not just here in the United States, across the world. You see they have some of these same issues. All right, Helena says we lose one to the virus is one too many. Absolutely. Why have we undervalued human life to this degree? The power of the almighty dollar is ruling a lot of these decisions right now. And that's, I feel, is where we're going wrong at. It can't just be about just money at this point. We have to start valuing human life more. Okay, what else we got here? Amy says, personally, I'm staying home. I go to the store and have been in retail stores a handful of times since March. But that's it. I've become a shut-in, but I feel safer that way. Same here, Amy. Like I said, since my job shut down in March, I've basically been here for the most part. I go do my grocery shopping. I go to the store. You know, every now and then I'll go out for a walk. But for the most part, I've been here kicking it. And I understand for a lot of people that's hard to contend with. I myself, I'm busy with a lot of other things, so it don't bother me as much. But for some people, they just can't do it. And the fact that they just can't do it, they're making everybody else sick. Because not only can they not do it, they refuse to not do it and not do it safely. They basically like, okay, mask, nope, not doing that. Hand sanitizer, whatever. I'm out here. I'm still alive, cool. And how many of these stories have we heard in the news over the last few months that people felt that way about it? But then they're interviewing them from the hospital or just getting out the hospital or just seeing a loved one. I really wish I would have listened. I understand now. How many of those stories we've heard? And not just from CNN or MSNBC. We've heard them from several different news outlets. It's true. Like I said, at this point, it's hard for me to understand how anybody has not known someone who's had the virus or has had someone in their immediate vicinity, a circle, die from the virus. For you not to understand that, yes, it is real. It is not a fugazi. It is not the flu. It is actually out here. Okay, continuing with the comments. I would kind of trust a vaccine that made 12 or 24 months from now. Again, we're going to get into that Thursday. Y'all say them comments for Thursday, y'all. Like I said, there's so much impacting in just that part of the discussion. I can't just sit here and piecemeal that discussion right now. I want to take Thursday's show to primarily deal with that because there's a lot of little things to be said about that. Okay, we got another person here. Let's see. Oh, that's Hugh. Hugh says, too many people I've seen in Michigan have been partying and going on with their lives. This is the one reason the virus has been spreading at an alarming rate. It ain't just Michigan, my guy. Like I said, I listened to some of the other shows, and I got hosts that hosts out of Atlanta, out of Texas, out of California. They all saying the same thing. It's going on all across the country. It ain't just us. Unfortunately, it's not just us. Okay, Amy again says, nothing wrong with continuing to reasonably protect yourself while you watch the first wave of vaccines go out. And again, we will get into that on Thursday as well. Like I said, it's a lot of moving parts to that thing. So, you know, when we get to Thursday, before that, you got some questions, you got some thoughts on it, kind of hold them till the end because we really need to get into that. It's a lot of moving parts to that. That's why I need to actually sit down and write it out and look into a few more things before I really go there about it. Because like I said, that in of itself is going to be a major undertaking, one bigger than anybody really understands right now. We definitely going to talk about it though. So like I said, I mean, again, I'm saying that money is affecting a lot of these decisions more so than the science or human life or anything else. Definitely the case when it comes into sports. Now, NFL has reported they've had double the amount of positive COVID tests this week alone than the week before. Pretty much every third team has been affected in some way, shape, or form by the coronavirus. In other words, at least one or two people have either contracted the virus or been in close contact with someone with the virus. So as a result, they've had to been put on the COVID list, or that team has had to shut down a facility for several days or what have you. Remember, NFL makes billions and billions of dollars. There is no possible way that they are going to shut this down unless it becomes such a detriment to everyone involved that they just cannot justify it continuing. But in the end, we all still watching. They still having the commercials. They still getting paid on their end. So they're going to keep it rolling. Even if they have to kind of limp their way to the finish line, that's what they're going to do. But in the end, they're professional athletes. They're getting paid. The owners are getting paid. Everybody involved is getting paid. The gamblers getting paid. Here's the problem I have. College, NCAA, schools definitely getting paid. NCAA definitely getting paid. These student athletes, they're not getting paid. And please don't come on me with that bull about they're getting paid by getting an education. Getting a quality education is not worth risking your life for, people. It is not. And some of these young people are, in essence, risking their lives by playing these sports in the midst of this pandemic with the possibility, small as it may be in that age group, the possibility that they may get sick and contract an illness that is permanent, or they may die, or more importantly, they may bring that illness home to their loved ones and in turn cause them to be sick or die. Clearly, that has already happened. And now, as we're about to get into the Thanksgiving holiday and Thanksgiving break in these colleges, these young people are going home, having been exposed to probably several people in some people's cases that have had the coronavirus, and they're bringing that home to people. And some people, much like with other parts of this pandemic, they're not going to listen to good sense. They're going to continue to do what they have done. And as a result, they're going to bring those viruses home to people during Thanksgiving, and people are going to contract the virus, and at that point, other people will die because of that. It's the sad truth of the matter. I hate to see it happen. Hopefully, it will not happen as much, that most people will heed the warnings, but unfortunately, some people, like I said, at this point, they're rolling the dice. If I crap out, I crap out. That's a sad way to look at it. Hello, Paige. How are you? I see you tuned in for a sec. Hey, what's up, Cousin D? We got a few people checking us out. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay. Again, how bad is it affecting these college sports at this point? There's at least 4 games that I saw today that will not be played because of multiple cases of the virus on those teams. 2 of those games involve teams in the top 5. Number 1 ranked Alabama will not be playing this week because of coronavirus cases. I believe number 5 team, I forget who that was, but they won't be playing either because of that. I think right now Michigan and Wisconsin may be an issue because Wisconsin's having some virus cases, if I remember correctly. Probably will help Michigan because they're not playing so great right now. Wolverines, y'all messing up, man. Y'all messing up. But I digress. Anyway, like I said, these things are affecting those games. We're about to start college basketball season shortly. And Duke. Now, for those of you familiar with college basketball and Duke, one of the best home field advantages of any team in any sport is Duke's when they play at Cameron Indoor in front of all the Cameron Crazies. But guess what? Will be no Cameron Crazies. They say no, they will play without fans. You know how crazy that's going to be? To watch a Duke game with no fans in the stands? As many Duke games as they broadcast over the years? Wasn't it that one coach the family said they show Duke as much as Leave It to Beaver reruns? Remember that? Yeah, that's going to be real odd to deal with. And like I said, granted, the vaccine is on the way perhaps, so we won't have to deal with this forever. But for the time being, let us err on the side of caution. And if we can and have to play these games, because we got to get this money, play them in safer environments than we have been. And if we can avoid not playing them or putting them off or whatnot for a little while, so be it. Let's do that. Human life must prevail over all this other stuff, in my personal opinion. So that's what I feel about that. But like I said, we got other COVID stuff to discuss later on. We definitely will get into that vaccine talk Thursday. So we'll definitely talk about this more then. But now let's get into my other major topic for today. That will be, what is the latest with the election updates? Now let me see. Let me address a few more of these comments before I go there. Okay. I believe this is Hugh again. Hugh says NFL is going to shut anything down. They're not going to shut anything down, even if Roger Goodell himself has the virus. Agreed. Too much money involved. Can't do it. Can't do it. Hugh says they can't do this to Bama. He was a Alabama fan. So yeah, I get that. But gotta do what they gotta do, man. Helena says, H2 says, I'm sorry. I really think they should have canceled. We're about to start, but they are so worried about the damn revenue that the students don't matter. Absolutely. It's all a cash cow right now. It's a money thing. They don't care about these kids the way they should. They're only worried about padding the pockets, getting that bonus at the end of the year. Showing that, okay, yeah, and pandemic went on, but we made money. So we doing good. Let us keep our jobs. Let us keep making that money. That's what's guiding a lot of these decisions. That's what bothers me about it. H2 also says, I think they really should have canceled all college professional sports, but they're so worried about the revenue that their lives don't matter. Exactly. Exactly what I said. It's all about the dollars, the money, the Benjamins. That line of thinking concerns me. And keep in mind, as we talk on this next subject, that definitely comes into play with some of it as well. So yes, we're talking about the election update here. Okay, now, if you've been keeping up with it on the news, you know at this point, Saturday they announced that Joe Biden had enough electoral college votes to be considered our next president. And you also know that our current president, he ain't having it. He ain't buying it. We didn't cheat it. We didn't lie. Ain't no way he lost. Not only did he not lose, he won. And he done won big. They cheating, they cheating, they cheating. And as a result of that, he's put out several lawsuits on several other states. Some of them being Pennsylvania, Nevada, Arizona, Georgia, Wisconsin, Michigan, and there's others. And in these lawsuits, he's basically saying they did this, they did that, they did this. These votes shouldn't count. These votes shouldn't count. These votes shouldn't count. And so far, in a lot of these cases, the judge has been like, ha ha, 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 get out of here with that. No, 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 no. Left and right, they throwing these cases out of court. They've thrown out at least 4 of them that I know of here in Michigan in regards to that. Because he's not the only person making these claims and putting these suits out here. The people of influence, the people that can afford to put their lawyers and stuff out here, they helping them along in this endeavor. But bottom line, there's yet to be any major case of significant voter problems or fraud or extra votes, whatever the case may be in any of these cases so far. Keep in mind, we're about to look at the map here because that's going to be a key part of this explanation. Let me add this on here. Okay, here's the map here, y'all. It's basically showing where we at in the scenario right now. Okay, I know it's kind of small on y'all end. I'm about to enlarge it so y'all can see it a little better. You're going to lose me for a second, but hopefully you can still hear me. Okay, here's where we are. Now, as you can see, we got the map here. It's some states that's still not fully counted. So as a result, the ones that have more or less certified their vote and are comfortable with where the winner is, those are the ones in red and blue. You know, the blue ones are for Joe Biden, that's this guy, and the red ones are, of course, for that guy. You know, I ain't saying his name. Y'all know how I feel about that. Anyway, there's these few states, Georgia here, North Carolina, Alaska that you can't see, and of course, some states have called Arizona, some have not. This particular results have called Arizona for Joe Biden, but they're all still counting at this point. In some cases, they got another 10,000 votes to count, 50,000, what have you. But for the most part, the numbers are pretty consistent. Most of the states that's leaning blue, they still gonna be blue. Most of the states are leaning red, they gonna stay red. So when all said and done, these numbers here, that 290 and the 214, will probably be mostly for Joe. He will get the majority of what's left out here. So he'll have over 300 You know, you need 270 from the Electoral College to be the president. And at that point, that determines who is the president. And that, of course, does not count the popular vote. And the popular vote right now, Joe Biden has almost 5 million more votes than the current president. So the majority agrees. The Electoral College at this point would agree that he is the winner. Now, there are some people out here, and a couple of them are listening right now, I'm pretty sure, that say, no, no, no. It's not official till this day and that day. Yes, we know all the technicalities thereof if we know our government. Some of us do, some of us not so much. You need to learn about how some of this stuff works, people. But anyway, that being said, in any other time, any other election in the history of this country, at this point, with the exception of the one time with the Bush and the Gore thing, we know how tight that was and what that was about. With that one exception, at this point, we have determined, okay, this person is the president. Let me do what I need to do to step aside or get him ready for his term or what have you. This president refuses to do any of that. There are certain funds that are given out to the winner of the election so he can start getting his transition team together and start setting up his part of the government. There's certain information that that person needs to have as president, including having access to some of the information the president has access to in terms of the daily, basically the daily report that the president gets in regards to what's going on in the world and whatnot. The president-elect also normally would have access to that information, the security codes and whatnot. They start to make those changes and whatnot. These are all things that are part of the transition phase between the one presidency to the next president. These things, for the most part, are not going on right now because the current president refuses to relinquish his control of the company. He refuses to say, okay, well, I lost, let me suck it up. In his mind, no. And what makes it worse is that the people who follow him, the fellow Republicans, the people in his cabinet, for the most part, they are in agreement with him, at least publicly, that he is right, and we need to look into all these possible allegations and then determine whether or not he won or lost. Dude! It's over, bruh! It's over! You out of here! Pack your crap! Gotta go. The fact that you are dragging this on further and further, you are losing even more respect from people like myself and all the others who did not vote for you. Now, granted, I am concerned and will continue to be concerned to this day. 71 million people, more than any other presidential candidate, with the exception of the person that won, has voted for this man. So he got a lot of pull out here in these streets. The vast majority of those people probably at this point are like, okay, we're going to ride with what we got. We won one, we lost one. But it's still a significant part of that 70 million that's completely and totally behind this guy and his attempt to try to prolong or even steal the real results of this election. They approve this message. Look at the various news outlets that's reporting people discussing with some of these folks and what they have to say on the subject. Y'all didn't win. It's fake news. The counts aren't done, etc., etc. Some of these comments, to me personally, ridiculous. Completely out of hand, outlandish. I can't believe what I'm hearing from some of these folks. When Trump won 4 years ago, I was highly upset. I was so upset that in part, I quit my job the day of the inauguration. I was that upset. Granted, other things happened at the job, but I already was in a bad mood because of that alone. But yet somehow, someway, I still had to deal with it, and I did. I expect that same respect on y'all end. You lost. Deal with it, people. Okay, let's get into some of these comments. See what y'all say on the subject here. According to the rules of the election, you can only have a recount if the vote is less than 20,000 votes. That is true in some states not so much. It's a larger amount in some states, it's a lesser amount in some states. But bottom line, let's think about that. Those states that I showed you, let's talk about some of these states that I said the lawsuits are in. Pennsylvania, right now, Biden winning by about 40,000 plus. Nevada, winning by about 14,000 plus. Arizona, winning by about 36,000 plus. Georgia, winning by about 10,000 plus. Michigan, over 110,000 plus at this point, Biden's winning by. Wisconsin, about 15, 20,000. Do you not understand that in order for him to be correct in his assumption that these votes are inaccurate, invalid, what have you, those votes have to be completely overturned? Over 100-something thousand votes will have to be overturned in at least 4, maybe even 5 or 6 states for him to be declared the winner according to the Electoral College. Do you understand how crazy that is? Basically, you can look up any of these states that have done recounts or revotes or what have you. They may throw out a couple hundred. They may throw out maybe even millions of thousands. But tens of thousands, highly unlikely. That many people have conspired to fraud the government and affect this election to that extent. Now, granted, one of my favorite television shows in the last 10 years is a little show we know as Scandal, okay? Love that show. Loved it. And yeah, because of that show and some of the things that happened over the course of those years of fits, I can see where it's in the realm of possibility. I'm not completely blind to that. It could have happened, but the actual likelihood that it did is so small, so very small, and highly unlikely. Not to mention, do you understand the chaos that will be caused if indeed that is the case? And for whatever reason, all these votes end up being crooked and whatnot. You have basically taken hundreds of years of tradition and election politics and thrown them all into the garbage can. How will you ever get the majority of the American people to ever vote again if this goes down the way he expects it to go down? I myself know it's like for those people who say my vote doesn't matter, at that point, if it happens, it'd be hard to argue that point. I guess it don't matter if you can go to court and get it all thrown out and get it seen your way. Because think about it. What if it was Biden who was trying to get all these lawsuits and stuff going on? It'd be a whole different discussion. He'd be the very, very sore loser. And poor boo-boo, you lost and you can't deal with it. So when we in turn are saying that about the current leader, some of y'all getting so highly upset by that. How can you say that? He could be right. Yeah, I admit it. It's a realm of possibility, but it's so unlikely. And personally, real for real, nah. He ain't wrong. It didn't happen, okay? Let's look at some of these other comments, y'all. Okay. We got from H2, we need to go back to allowing the popular vote to pick our president. Now, you got to have a thorough understanding of the Electoral College as to why that is beneficial. I do understand that, but I do feel like we need to make some type of adjustment to the Electoral College to where the popular vote definitely counts more so into the result than anything else. I mean, just like now when you do the All-Star game voting for baseball, part of it is the fans vote, part of it is the players vote, part of the coaches vote, and there's like certain percentages thereof. I kind of feel like the Electoral College and the popular vote should be along the lines of that. And in the end, the popular vote should matter a bit more than Electoral College. Personal opinion. Again, a lot of these personal opinions. You agree, you do, you don't, you don't. Okay. Amy says, somebody bring back Roy Orbison from the grave to sing him off stage. It's over, it's over, it's over. Agreed. All right, let's see. Yo, Eric, lost track of time. Let's see who this is. Oh, that is Leia. Hey, Princess Leia, what's going on? It's all good. We're getting a discussion on. Thanks for joining in. Better late than never. It's all good. Okay, we got Amy again saying, honestly, if it got overturned, that's crazy. But so many people voted for Trump that I think there will still be plenty of people who will be fine with it. Yeah, like I said, regardless of, in the end, if he somehow pulls off this miracle and proves that we all wrong and they all right, yeah, it's gonna be people that's gonna be like, okay. But in the same token, if in the end the inevitable happens and we determine that Biden is the president, most of them will grudgingly accept it. But it's those pockets of people, they're not trying to hear it. I go back to them Proud Boys. What's going on behind the scenes with some of them right now? What might they be thinking? Concerning. Okay, every state needs to have a law against faithless electors for starters. Absolutely. Absolutely. Like I said, some of these lawsuits should not have seen the light of day. Basically, it's like, okay, I have a lawsuit. What is it? Such and such, such. Where's the proof? Don't have any. Or here it is. This is garbage. Throw it out. Have a nice day. That's how it should be as far as I'm concerned. Some of this, like I said, it's stalling the inevitable. Even most of the major countries around the world are already saying, congratulations, Joe. What can we do to get things together here? What can we do to help you? What are you trying to do to help us? They see it for how we see it. Imagine the chaos that it causes when we, America, this great America that we so proud of and we profess to be the best country in the world, we have this type of problem with our election and we have to flip-flop and change it for the other guy. Think about how other countries will view us then. That's not going to be a good thing. Okay. We got another user. Okay, who's that? That's Leah again. If they did pull it off, there's going to be some serious chaos in the streets for real. You already know. Them same people that you seen partying on Saturday, granted, a lot of them not social distancing, that was bad. But yeah, out here partying and celebrating in the streets, them people ain't having it. Let us not forget the whole George Floyd scenario and what happened in the streets over the course of those couple weeks. Take that, times it by maybe 5 or 10. It could get real ugly. Might even get ugly when Trump do decide that, okay, I lost. Some of them might hit the streets like, okay, damn it, now. It's still not over in terms of that much, unfortunately. Okay, Amy says, as long as the Proud Boys keep the safety on the rifles engaged, whatever on them. Like I said, I could easily see one of those cases popping up sometime next 30 days. 2 people conspired to such and such and such. They found them, rifles in the back. I think that's almost inevitable, unfortunately. I hope it don't happen, but I can see it happening. Let's see. What else we got going here, y'all? Okay, don't see no more comments, so I'm going to get on back to it. Okay, people. Here's the thing. That's only part of the problem. Okay, let us all that have determined we on the side of right move on and have this discussion. What can we do now? We voted, and I would like to say the majority of people that's going to listen to this broadcast at least agree that Biden is the winner, and we're ready to move on. Now, of course, we do have to hold him accountable for all the things that he has said he would do. Will he be able to do all of them? I am here to tell you, no. No, he will not. No politician that I've seen in the course of these years have been able to take all their promises in the campaign and make them come to light fully. In the end, he is only one person. His cabinet is only so many people. There's so many different cogs to the political machine that all have to work together concurrently to make these things happen. I cannot see him pulling all of it off. Is he going to make a sincere effort to make most of them happen? I sincerely hope so. If not, then 4 years from now, we have this problem all over again. And here's a very scary thought. You do realize that that dude, the leader, he could run again in 4 years. There's a 2-term limit to presidency. If he only served 1 term, he still got that 1 term out there. In history, it has happened before that a president stopped being a president and came back and regained the presidency. I believe that's Grover Cleveland. I believe that was the one. Y'all correct me. I mean, Amy, if you know that for sure, look it up for me. But yeah, it could happen. And remember, this dude got 71 million votes and counting. A lot of those votes will probably still be out there for him 4 years from now. I sincerely hope he doesn't do it. I mean, keep in mind at that point, him and Joe damn near 80 when 2024 gets here. You see how erratic and outlandish he is now. Hell, his own niece say that he feel like he has mental issues, and she's a medical professional. This is a diagnosed synopsis, I assume. So imagine what it's like after it gets to fester for 4 more years, and you come back with even more outlandish stuff to say. And I know it's certain people in the party cannot want that to happen again. He's made it very hard to be a Republican at times with some of the things he has said in public. But because that's their guy, he's the leader of the party, they have to somehow find a way to back him. But I know in the private conversations they're having with others, like, why did he say that? Now I got to go out here and say, I would hate to be a full-time member of the Republican Party right now. Hard to approve this message as far as I'll go. I couldn't see me doing it. Okay, what else being said out here, y'all? Let's see what we got. It's only happened one more time. Yes, Grover Cleveland. Thank you, Amy. Amy and I, we serve as the research department for Big Meats when they do the Dish and Tea show. So yeah, basically they come up with certain things and they don't have time to look it up at that moment. Usually me or Amy, we Johnny on the spot and we fact checked it for us. So Amy's doing that for me as well today. Thank you, Amy. Appreciate it. Princess Leia says, with all of his erratic ranting, it's no wonder many Republicans have distanced themselves from them. And that's the thing. It's not so many at this point. It's still a lot of people that's out here supporting these crazy theories of his. Crazy in my eyes, at least. And at this point, they haven't just flat out said, look, this stuff is not right. Let us move on. I hope that as the days and weeks to come, they start to finally come to the sense like, look, man, come on, man. Come on, man. Just go unpack your stuff, dog. And y'all, some of these memes in regards to this election and how it ended, the Donald Trump, you got to go, and just some of them that you see on the man, hilarious. I know y'all seen the one I posted about Utah truck, the U-Haul truck, and he says, you're right here, bruh. And then that one video that what is his name? I'm drawing a blank right now, but I know y'all done seen the video where basically he's just going off on this guy. Pack it and leave. Again, Amy, if you know what I'm talking about, if you can piece it together from what I'm saying, feel free to put that on there. The name might pop in my head. Man, I cannot think of his name right now. He's based out of New York, though. I'm sure if you've seen the video, y'all know what I'm talking about. But anyway, we definitely got to do something about this, y'all. This is the part where we need to get more involved in the overall process, okay? We need to start looking at these things and saying, okay, we done did our part with the voting. What can we do now? What should we do now? Here's the thing. Yes, some of us, we happy. Some of us, not so much. In the end, we got to stop talking about the problems and start having some solutions. I assume that Joe is going to be in good faith and at least attempt to work on these things on his end. But what can we do on our end? What can we do in our communities to say, okay, certain things that's going on here, they need to stop. We need to make these adjustments. We need to fix them. Are we going to become more actively involved in our community? Are we going to start attending some of the council meetings? Are we going to start to be more involved in community activism? Are we going to start looking at some of the local charities and getting involved in there, or heading out to our local recreational centers and basically having some type of say-so in those matters? Are we going to join food drives or donate our extra money to worthy causes in our communities? Those things do help the cause right now. Are we going to go to work and start to try to have better attitudes in regards to our fellow coworkers? Are we going to try to actually go in with our bosses and say, look, boss, I think this would make the company better on this level, that level? Are we going to be allowed with some of these things that hopefully will happen to do a better job in our communities of being more of a part of our community? Like take the policing issue, for example. I feel policing would be better overall if we could somehow get more police that actually live in the communities that they police to be involved. In the end, a lot of these major metropolitan areas have police officers that don't live in the inner city, in the Baltimores, the Detroits, the Atlantas, so on. It should not necessarily be a requirement per se, but it would definitely be helpful if at least the majority of the department are people who, if not have presently lived in the city, at least have lived here at some point. Now, granted, again, that has a major thing to do with a lot of that. Hard for you to keep a police officer here in Detroit when he can go over to Dearborn and Livonia and make $10,000 to $20,000 more to do the same thing and probably be a little more safe in the meanwhile. I mean, the numbers would dictate that. If there's less people in Detroit and Livonia, if there's less people in Livonia and Dearborn than there is Detroit, then of course that's less people you have to police. So that would seem to me make you a little bit safer, right? And again, there's other things that the pandemic is teaching us that definitely will be helpful post-pandemic. Like, for example, the whole teaching situation. Have we not established, helping all these kids do the Zoom and all that, that these teachers are not making enough money, that they definitely need to make more, that their value and what they offer society is very important, and we need to value it more? Our healthcare workers, we definitely need to invest more in them. Think about how hard it is to be a healthcare worker right now. And there's a few of them here that's listening in. Shout outs to you, prayers for you. Thank you for helping to keep us through this thing. Stay strong, stay well. These people definitely are not making, in some of the cases, the type of money that they should be, considering the risk that they're taking on a daily basis. We need to work with that. As far as some of our large metropolitan cities, some of our small business people, they're going to need our help. They're going to need our support. They're going to need our dollars because they're not getting the loans and things that some of the major corporations have gotten to help out during this. They're not making that type of money that Walmart and Target and the big box stores are making throughout the pandemic, the Krogers, etc. So they're going to be behind the 8 ball when all this is going on. And instead of just seeing the big box stores just eat up these little stores, as a result, we need to help to put them back in a place of comfort. I myself am committed to Black-owned businesses and minority-owned businesses, definitely here in Detroit. I'm definitely going to do what I can to support them when I can. And for any of you who have a minority or small business, Black-owned business that you want to have me give a shout out to, by all means, put them up in the comments. I definitely will look to do that. There's a couple people in particular that I want to talk to. One is Will Muhammad. He owns his own business here in Detroit. We're going to have a discussion with him sometime in the next couple of weeks. And also a young man based out of Ohio named David Ford. He has the David Ford Eye Collection. He is a designer, an entrepreneur, and he's also a person with a very positive vibe, gives off a good message. I definitely want to have him on the show in the next couple of weeks. Shout out to you, David Ford. We definitely want to get in touch with you and make that happen. People need to hear you, and I want people to see your product, very quality product. He explains the price point, why it costs the way it does, what goes into the production of it, what his future plans is. I definitely want to get into all of that when we have a talk with that young man. Like I said, there's also my cousin. Shout out to you, Marla, if you're listening. She has her sock dry. Let's put up the information here, at least some of it. You can find some of the rest of the information on my Get Off My Lawn information page that many of you are a part of. She is doing a sock drive now based out of her home state of Maryland. They are getting socks for the homeless, not just for homeless males, but homeless kids, homeless women, and they are getting the funds together. The sock drive, I believe, goes to the middle of December, and based on the success of that, she wants to do other sock drives in other states, including one here and one in where our people are from, Missouri, and so on. So please support her. A couple dollars here and there. You know, if you got a couple extra bucks, you can put on her Cash App so she can purchase socks. She is very transparent throughout the whole process. She shows you where she's buying the socks. She's posting the receipt for the socks. She's posting actually when the socks arrive and them in the box. She plans on posting when she delivers the socks to the place that they go. So this is not one of those things where, okay, it's a money grab and she's out here living high life up there. Dr. Marla Farsi is a minister and a teacher of Christ, and she is an honest person. She is not doing outlandish stuff with that money. She's doing it for what she actually said the money is for. So like I said, look up that information on my Get Off My Lawn information page. Also for you guys who are looking to be a little bit more involved in my Nighthawk Network, you can check that out on YouTube. Look up Nighthawk Network Detroit. That's Nighthawk Network Detroit. You should see the Get Off My Lawn icon right there when you get to it, and you'll see the previous broadcast of the shows. I'm still in the process of learning how to put my audio shows on that network, and eventually there will be an additional page where some of my other partners in podcasting, shout out to them. I'm gonna give them some individual shout outs here near the end. That you'll see some of their broadcasts as well with their permission. Of course, we haven't really discussed that part of it, but definitely want to do that so you can see what we all talking about. We all come from different walks of life. For example, let me get into some of them. Lena Hologram, she is based. Let people know where you're based out of. Helena, please. I believe it's Baltimore. You know, and she comes from that. She is a person of a particular age like myself, and you know, she'll tell you about her lifestyle and what she does for a living and whatnot. She's entertainment, but she's also a very thoughtful person. Talks a lot about various different subjects. I think you will enjoy that. Like I said, she keeps it raw, so you can't deal with it raw like that. May not necessarily be the show for you, but I still say you should at least check it out and make that determination for yourself. Then we also have Big Meech with the Dish and Tea podcast. He comes on at least about 3-4 times a week, depending on what his work schedule is. He is joined by the host, Auntie Nikki. Shout out Nikki, and the Big Red Ally. Shout out to you, Big Red. They all co-host the show together, and they talk about a variety of shops. Very, very good discussions throughout many of those, and several of the people that are here that's checking out the show now, I've met them through that show, so I'm very thankful for them. Definitely some good discussions there, and he don't just talk about serious subjects. He talks about other little subjects like, you know, what's your favorite cereal back in the day? What's your favorite cartoons? What's the music you listen to when you want to chill, want to, you know, all that good stuff. So a lot of good conversations. Enjoy that show. We also have Stan Mason, Behind the Blue Curtain. He comes on Saturdays at 11 a.m. They discuss different aspects of policing from the inside. Several of his people that's on the show, they are either presently part of the police departments or previously part of the police departments, and they give us kind of an insight into how police think about things, how people who are in that area of expertise talk about it. They have the people that report the policing on. They have psychologists. They have a variety of different guests on that show. Again, that's Behind the Blue Curtain Saturday. We got Pure and Uncut, which presently talks about Lions football, but also gets into other topics. That's the show from Will Muhammad. I said we're probably gonna have him on the show sometime next week to discuss some things. One thing I'm learning as I'm getting to know that particular person, he has a interesting background from which he comes from. You know, he's had a lot of different life experiences, and that all comes into play in his discussions with myself, but also the things he discussed on the show. So shout out to you, Will Muhammad. Again, his show is Pure and Uncut Lions Football. And for any of you that's seeing this, feel free to put your information here in the comments so people can check you out. Let me see. Who am I forgetting here? Help me out, Amy. I forget. Oh, no. My bad. Don't need help with this one. My cousin, Marla Facey. Dr. Marla Facey. She has a couple shows. She has her show where she talks religion and things of a religious nature that comes on Thursday. I'm drawing a blank on the name of the show. I'm sorry, cuz my bad. Should write these things down. Definitely will have that information started, but you can definitely look her show up on my Get Off My Lawn information page. It will tell you the name of the show. It usually comes on Thursday, and she does that. She also has a Bible study that she's doing on Zoom on Sundays and Mondays. You can check that out, and she will probably give you the link for that on that day or the day before, so you can join the Bible study. It's an interactive Bible study, so hopefully you get something from that. And then, of course, she always has her additional talks that she does, her walking talks, as I call them. She expounds on certain things that's going on at the moment. And, of course, we have the show that we do together, the What the Bucks with Bucks. That's me, Eric Buckner, and her, Marla Buckner Facey. We had that show that comes maybe every 7-10 days where we sit down and have our discussions about things. And she also has a very extensive background. She's been in the military. She's been in the medical field. She presently is working with Maryland in terms of some of their stuff. She also has foster kids. She's been in the foster system. She's written a couple books in regards to her life. A lot of things to talk about. Like I might just have her on the show one day just to have that discussion. So those are some of those people. And I said, as the network is expanding and growing, there'll be other people to discuss and have shows. There's a couple of y'all that's on here now. As I talk to y'all in the comments on some of the other shows, y'all should probably have some shows of your own. I think you do a good job with it. Amy, you already know what I think about you. You definitely probably should have your own show. I don't know how comfortable you are on camera or whatnot, but anytime you want to join the show, feel free. You add great things to the discussion. Let me go through the comments here one more again. Okay. Andrew Cuomo, I'm not sure what that part of the conversation is about. I'm sure she'll fill me in. I think salary incentives to police who live in the communities they work for will help. Absolutely. Let's see, some of these salaries are going up, but of course, people now want to defund the police, so that kind of is counterproductive in that regard. So that's not so great. Okay. H2 saying okay. All right, what else going on here? I don't see no other comments from some of you other guys. Like I said, basically what's about to happen now is I'm about to wrap up the show, y'all. We about to end it. Thank you all for joining in the comments and giving me your assessments on what I'm saying. I appreciate it. For those of you who are going to catch the rebroadcast, thank you so much, and let us know any of your comments. I will probably address some of them on the Thursday show. Remember, Thursday, we're going to get into this vaccine talk, y'all. We're going to talk about all aspects of it. I'm going to learn, what their vaccine is, how it works, the time constraints. By then, we'll have an understanding of what the plan will be for passing some of it out, perhaps. And there's other vaccines that's also supposed to be ready around that time. So maybe they will work together in passing out the virus vaccines to various states and countries around the world. We'll have that discussion. Are you going to take the vaccine? What's your concerns about it? Some of the logistics of trying to pass it out. The fact that it has to be stored on extreme ice and, all the little variables of it. Like I said, we got some of our healthcare workers that'll join the show. They'll be able to put their 2 cents in. We got Amy. She has some knowledge about some of everything, so she'll definitely have some stuff to say, I'm sure. And some of you other guys that want to join in and know bits and pieces, by all means, add to the conversation. I appreciate it. So that being said, we're about to lock it down for now. It's Tuesday, so of course, I know what I'm about to do. This Is Us is coming on. I love that show. As a person who studied telecommunication and film and knows a bit about how the acting world works,